Hello, everyone. This is Alicia, also known as AVP. I am back with another special interview for you guys. Today, I was privileged to interview the project manager from Messy Desk, and he is named Kevin. And he gave me a very nice interview, basically giving me details about the Orville game that some of us play on our computers, and he was very, very detailed about what goes on behind the scenes. And so, if you guys are interested to know more about the Orville game and its creation and its creators, stay tuned for this fun interview between me and Kevin. So, this is AVP signing off for right now, and stay tuned for the interview. All right, hello everyone. My name is Alicia, also known as AVP, and today I am joined by Kevin, who is one of the Messy Desk creators from the Orville Experience game. So thank you so much, Kevin, for coming out today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So my first question for you guys is, what inspired you guys to create an Orville game of all the games that you could have created?
Yep. So as you probably know, we started out as the team that produced Stage 9, which was Virtual Enterprise D recreation. So really, that project was about being able to be part of, a positive future in space for humanity, right? We really loved the Star Trek franchise and wanted to have that feeling of being in it. So when that project ended, we sat back and we examined, like, why were we doing this, right? And once we kind of got settled on the fact that we had all come together to build this environment for a positive future, we started to look for other whats that went with our why as a team. And we really loved the Orville's aesthetic and its themes. There were lots of fans of the show among our team already. So it seemed like just a really, really great fit for us.
Very cool. So do you yourself have a personal favorite character from the series by any chance?
I'm actually a big Gordon fan. So he's super talented, right? He's good at his job, but he likes to have fun at work, which I think is really important. And he values friendship and loyalty. So that speaks to me a lot. I identify that with him.
Very cool. All right. So how long does it take the creative things in the game before they're released publicly? I mean, obviously there's some lag between the time you create it and then the time we see it. So how long does it typically take for you guys to get that done?
Yeah, we right now we're on about a 3 to 4 month development cycle between versions. It used to be a little bit longer. It really depends on the complexity of the features that we're working on, the number of ideas that we have. This is a super creative and talented team, so they come up with all kinds of ideas. And if we see something that really catches our eye, then we shoehorn it in, which can make things stretch out a little bit. But the other big factor is this is an all volunteer team, so that's a different dynamic than commercial development. So the schedules have to be a little bit more fluid to account for volunteer time and availability. But we're always trying to find that balance between we want to put out a super high quality product, but we know that perfect can be the enemy of good. Right. So the goal is to really share that with the fans. So we've developed a system where we do a number of alpha builds for our internal team, and we try to fix the worst of the problems, and then we have a public beta. So at that point, there are people seeing the project, and that lasts for several weeks while we work on cosmetic issues and tweaks, and then we do the public release.
Very cool. I know myself because I'm helping create my own fan base game with a couple of my friends, and it's all volunteer based, so I can understand that you have to do it as it comes. So I can understand that one. Yes.
Yeah, in commercial development, you can say, hey, you're working on this, and this is your deadline. This is what I'm paying you for, right? With volunteers, you definitely have to say, what's that going to take, and what kind of time do you have to do it, and who can work on what, that kind of thing. So it's a very different beast, but I love it. It's a little bit of herding cats, but it's
of
fun.
Course. So do you guys have any close ties to the actual cast and crew production by any chance, who help make any suggestions or ideas for your game by any chance?
We're not official in any capacity, so we're just a fan game. But we do get a lot of encouragement from the cast and crew on social media. Occasionally the crew members will put out a public tweet with some behind the scenes gem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely pay attention to those when they put those out. Those are really helpful, but we get a lot of encouragement from them, and that's fantastic. It makes it worthwhile.
Awesome. So you said yourself already were a fan of the series. Was there other people that work with you guys? Are they fans as well of the series as well?
Yeah, most of them. I actually came late to the Orville party. I had not seen it,
Okay.
and when we first started discussing it, and I got taken to task a little bit for that. They're like, "How could you be a sci-fi fan and you haven't watched the Orville?" So I came a little bit late, but got on board quickly. But yeah, I think almost universally the team are fans of the show. I mean, you kind of have to be in order to have the passion to
Right.
examine it frame by frame for on-screen references and things like that.
Yeah, because you guys have to go so delicately to make sure it ties in. That way, it doesn't look like something like, wait a minute, this looks like a stick figure when it's not supposed to be a stick figure. So I can understand that, of course.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so were you yourself a gamer prior to actually helping create this game, or were there other gamers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the old man of the group. I cut my teeth. I built my first adventure game on a TRS-80.
Ooh,
So
okay.
old Coco 2. And by the mid '90s, I was playing online text-based,
Oh
Trek Mush and
yes,
Trek
I
News
remember those.
kind of games. So I come to gaming from way back. Other members of our teams, the ones who actually do the development. I'm just the project manager, but the actual technical talent here on the team. So some of them were active back in the Quake days, making maps with the BSP tools. So that's how they kind of got into it, and it just grew from there. Pretty much everybody is self-taught, which is kind of amazing when you look around at the
Nice.
almost the pretty much photorealistic. I'm at the point where when I see images of the Orville and on Google or something, I have to pause a second to see if I'm looking at our game or if I'm looking at the show, which is kind of neat.
That is kind of cool because I know when I saw the trailer for the game being released, I had to do a double take. I said, "Oh, that's a game." I didn't realize
Yeah, these guys they blow my mind all the time.
it's
I mean,
amazing. It really is.
they'll
It's awesome.
post references and I'll say, wait, is that from the show or did you just make that? Yeah.
But yeah, that's so awesome. So what is something from the series you would love to see done that on your game that hasn't been released yet?
Yeah, we're really interested in being able to move between space objects. So right now, you can walk around the ship, you can check that out. You can take a shuttle outside the ship, but pretty much the only place to land is back on the ship.
Okay.
So we'd really love to be able to do movements between space objects, land on another ship,
Ooh.
land on a space station, land on a planet, and get out
Mm-hmm.
and walk around and explore. So that's really high on our list of things to do for future versions. And then the other thing that we're really focused on is giving people more to do. So more interactive ship systems, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want you to be able to get in and repair stuff. And we've started to head down those tracks, but it really, we want to get to a point where you can interact in almost every room on the ship. There's something to do
Very cool.
all over the place.
Any particular planet? I know I don't have this on the question, but is there any particular planet you guys would love to see on the game that you haven't thought about using, or would you
Any
come up with?
particular planet? I think the Kalan homeworld would be really cool to
Ooh, that's a
explore.
good choice. That's a very
Being
good
able to
choice.
land and dock, kind of recreate that, those scenes from Identity. That'd be really cool.
That's true. The cave grotto would definitely be something to be. How would you
Yeah.
guys do that where it seems virtual but not seem so gamey either?
Yep.
So
I mean, the other one, and it's not a planetscape, but it'd be really cool if we could explore Union Station a little bit.
ooh, yes, that would definitely, yes, definitely for sure. To find out where the Union headquarters is, definitely for sure. I
Yeah,
would love to
it's
see that.
absolutely massive, right? So there's no way we'd be able to render the whole thing, but just to
That's
get a
true.
taste of it would be cool.
That's true. We know it's all in New York, but what's all there in New York, what's all there in the headquarters. Obviously, there's an admiral's office there and several others, but what else is there? We don't know.
Yep.
Very cool. So what is one of the hardest things to develop in the game that's from the series? What's one of the hardest things to develop?
Yeah, I mean, for the challenge, one of the biggest challenges that we have is the size of the ship. So it's called a mid-level exploratory craft, right? But
Right.
and the set, the production set, from the pictures that we've seen is huge, right? It's a big
Mm-hmm.
set. It's one of the biggest that I've ever seen for, for a TV production for this
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But the ship itself is orders of magnitude larger. And the production crew does an awesome job of framing shots and
Oh
reusing
yeah.
sets and building in existing spaces like their swing set or the shuttle bay or whatever. So you get a lot of things that are built to fit in a space for the show. We don't have those limitations. We have the entire volume of the ship that we can build out,
Mm-hmm.
and that really, frankly, we want to be able to explore. But it's actually really challenging. What do you put in that space? There's a lot of crew quarters, obviously, but there's got to be other labs and engineering spaces and storage
Mm-hmm.
rooms and all that stuff. But
Right.
Orville, unlike TNG, doesn't already have that stuff defined, right? Which is both awesome and a real
Mm-hmm.
challenge because we can apply a lot of creativity to it within
Right.
the bounds of the IP, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
also don't have a guide, right? So I mean,
That's true. You're just
the
sort of
Enterprise
winging it.
D
I
had
can understand that.
the Enterprise D had the Sternbach plans and the Whitefire plans and all that stuff. So you could kind of look at what a layout would be. The Orville, we kind of got to feel our way and see what should be where, and then of
Mm,
course adapt to anything that the show comes out with, right? Because
that's
we want to
true.
be consistent with the IP of the Orville.
Mm-hmm.
We want to really respect that. So if we see something on screen, that's how it needs to look, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true
that's
because you want to
it's
create
just
something
a
the
lot of
same.
freedom, but there's a big challenge.
That makes total sense to me. Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute, why do you guys have say let me see, what is am I thinking of? Maybe an escape room, but wait a minute, they're gonna say there's no escape room on the Orville. That's not there. So
Right.
yeah, I can understand that. So yes. Okay, so what
Yeah.
is one of the easier aspects in creating stuff in the game? What is one of the easier aspects? Obviously, the ship creating is hard, but what is one of the easier things to create?
Well, it's funny because it's also the ship. Because anything that's seen on screen for more than 2 seconds, we can figure that out, right?
Hmm.
We found some detailed set plans that were out on the web for the actual production set. So the stuff that you see all the time, the bridge, the mess hall, the sick bay, stuff like that, we can
Hmm.
create that stuff within inch accurate to the actual production set. In fact, at some point, somebody noticed that we have the smoke detectors that are
Oh,
actually present
okay.
on the set. So that's the level of
Nice.
realism that we can hit,
Yeah,
right?
you guys have really gotten into the details. Like, I know one person pointed out, like, you guys had the P corner, and they said, that's really, really detailed. And then they started showing that their character could slip or slide on that scene. And I'm
Yep.
like, you guys really, really went into detail with that. So that's definitely really, really cool. So, okay. So it's the ship easy,
Yeah,
but it's also
it's the
hard.
ship. But and really, like I said, anything that's seen on screen for more than 2 seconds, our team, we're sci-fi geeks, right? So we
Of
love
course.
picking apart our DVDs frame by frame to try to
Hmm.
figure out what something looks like. We spent hours recently examining whether we have the right corridor configurations outside of the eSIM, because there's like three different
Ooh,
eSIM
okay.
positions that you see on the show, and we go, okay,
Hmm.
here's a clip that shows it here, and here's a clip that shows it there, right? So just trying to get everything right and honor that IP.
Very cool. So, about how many people work in each department for the game?
Yep, we've got about 7 full-time developers. We've got some folks that are working on other projects that will pitch in for us when we've got something that's in their wheelhouse. So that's the development team. Our QA, we've got our own internal QA team of 7 people, and then
Hmm.
we've got Claire, who's our awesome social media manager and HR person, and all around keeps the ship flying. And somebody who helps us on our Discord as a monitor and keep that running as well. And then me as project leader, trying to coordinate um, the the roadmap and keep us moving forward. But then that's just the internal team. We've got a fantastic community on our Discord. We've got a number of people who stepped up and volunteered to translate the game into other languages, which is just amazing.
Nice.
We've got a dedicated set of VIPs on our Discord that help us out with our alpha builds and finding, kind of the worst of the worst bugs. And then we've got an open public beta, which has hundreds of people in it that try out the game before it goes to public release. So all in all, it's a big team between the internal and external, but the internal team is actually fairly small. And we're always open to new talent. So we've got a couple things on our website that, if people have particular skill sets that we need, we're open to expanding.
Very cool. So were you a science fiction fan? You mentioned the Star Trek. So were you a science fiction fan prior to Orville and stuff like that? Was there other things that you enjoyed besides just Star Trek and stuff like that? Because I know myself, I love science fiction. It's like everything: Star Wars, Dune, Star Trek, obviously Orville.
Yeah. Personally, I was a big Farscape fan when it was out. So
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
That was a neat one for me. I grew up on reruns of the original series of Trek.
Yes.
Really TNG was as I was coming of age. So that was really kind of my Trek. So yeah, we're and the fandoms, and we got a lot of people who are fans of The Expanse, and and just all kinds of stuff. So it's really, sci-fi is the thing that binds us together.
Nice.
And we're just really passionate about capturing that feeling of living in a positive spacefaring future for humanity. So
very cool.
That's why we do it.
So which character is most like you and why?
I joke on the team that I'm like Turco. I make the cupcakes. I don't have the talent these guys do for actually building stuff in the engine. So I'm a support person, right? I'll bring the cupcakes and keep you moving and keep you fed and happy. But in reality, I'm probably more like Gordon. I like to have fun.
Nice.
I can apply the skills that I have, from my professional life to the game to help us move forward. And really, to me, it's all about team. So we put out a game, and that's cool. But really, it's about the team that we put together and what we can accomplish together, which is way more than any of us can do by ourselves. Very
nice. So do you have a particular favorite alien race?
Yeah, I'm kind of fascinated by the Krill. That theistic approach, but there's an aggression there, right? We've gotten to see a little bit of how how their kids are integrated into their society, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. I've enjoyed those episodes. I really like that.
Yeah, they got a lot of depth to them, that's for sure. Because I don't know if you guys use it or not, but the book of The World According to the Orville and stuff like that, and it has a lot of detailed information in that. So that was a really huge help when I was reading it. I was like, wow, there's so much detail into creating these krill, creating these other characters. But hopefully they can make a second one, because there's some aliens we still don't know about. So
yeah, we've seen a number of them. The mock ones vex me. I don't know. I alternate between being fascinated by them and being really angry with them. So I guess that's what I'm supposed to do.
That's true. I think for a lot of us, we have a love-hate relationship with them. Like, wait a minute here. Yep. I love them, but I hate the fact that they're so dominant the way they are. So yeah,
right.
Yes.
I mean, I see the correlation there with like maybe the Klingons and TNG, but
yes.
But it's entirely its own thing, right? Which is, I mean, credit to the show creators. They're fascinating species, so they do a good job of that.
True. Okay, so how would you describe the game in your own words?
Yeah, so the interactive fan experience, really, it's our attempt to show what it'd be like to live and work, aboard the Planetary Union's finest mid-level exploratory ship, right? So what we really want is we want players to be able to stand where the heroes do on the show and feel like they're there, right? We want them to be able to get a sense of scale of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And we want them to be able to interact with it and with the ship and the stuff around the ship, just like a real crew would. So the whole idea is to really be able to immerse yourself, which is why we call it an experience and not a game, right? We want you to be able to immerse yourself in that world and feel what that's like. Those minute passive interactions that you have, pressing a door control to go into a room. As
Mm-hmm.
well as the active stuff where I'm going to fly the ship and fight the bad guys and stuff. But it's also an opportunity, and we're heavily focused on the multiplayer aspect of it, right? Being able to get together with your friends and interact and
Mm-hmm.
do stuff together, being able to role play. I mean, the game has found a huge fan base in role players who will get together and form crews and go out and do missions and whatnot. So we definitely try to create features that are fun and useful for them as well.
Very cool. Very cool. So, what is one thing we can expect for a future update?
Yeah, well, speaking of future updates, we are extremely close, maybe even today, releasing the beta for version 16 of the project. So I'll give you at least a few hours of scoop here. That one of the new features that we're looking at is the ability with something we call quarters customization. It is the
Ooh.
ability for the player to assign themselves crew quarters and then decorate it to their liking and then save it so that you can recall it in a future game session, be it single player or multiplayer. And so, yeah, we're really excited to see what our fans come up with for decorating their rooms. So that's one of
Very
the things that we're
cool.
working on. This version is jam packed. In
Nice.
fact, it's taken us a little bit longer because we've got so much in it.
Mm-hmm. I guess 'cause there's so much you have
We've
to add
really
in.
built out the ship a lot.
I can imagine, especially with the customization of a quarters, because there's so much you could do because there's so many ways you could randomize it. I mean, the sky's the limit, so to speak. But yeah, I can understand why that would be. Wow, that's gonna be really
Yeah,
cool. I can't wait to see how that turns out because I know I'm playing the game and it's like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. How can I make my captain's quarters different from the actual one that's in the movies, the series? So I'm like,
yeah.
okay, how do
There's
I
a
make
whole
mine different?
catalog of stuff that we put into it, so that you give lots of options. I mean, there's probably already millions of different combinations that you can do. So there's that, and then the other thing that's in here, there's a lot more of the ship to explore now. So we've really focused on workspaces and labs and things like that to give you a sense of where the crew works, maybe even the lower decks crew where they work and
Mm-hmm.
live and do their jobs.
Very cool. That's going to be very cool too, because some of us have always wondered, like, where does Yaphet sleep? Where does Isaac stay when he's not on the bridge? So yeah, that's going to be kind of cool to see those kind
Hmm.
of things.
Yep, and a couple of little
So,
hidden tips and tricks, or some things that you can discover that we're not going to tell you about. So that's good too.
so we'll just have to wait and see. But thank you so much for that
Exactly.
little bit of a preview.
Yep.
Alrighty. So, what is one thing that we will never see in the game?
Well, hopefully you never see anything that violates the integrity of the Orville IP. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
we really respect what the show's producers have done with the show and their ownership of it. So our respect for that runs really, really deep. And it's actually rule number one: canon is king. Right. So
Right.
we definitely will stay within the guidelines and the bounds of what the show has created. Beyond
Mm-hmm.
that, never say never, right? But we don't really have any plans to do any type of large scale or linear storylines. We want this to be, more of a free form experience where you
Mm-hmm.
can discover stuff and you can get into shenanigans all over the place. But not that you're locked into doing this and then doing that and then doing the next thing. We think that helps it stand up to repeated playing. And that's really what we wanted. We want it to last.
Nice. So your company is called Messy Desk. Can you explain the origins of how that game got started for your
Well, let
company?
me just look down here. Okay, I'm not showing you I'm not moving the camera. It fits. I'll say that. It definitely fits our work style. It came up in brainstorming for that reason. We were talking about how just the style of how a lot of corporate naming is going. I mean, Orville's created by Fuzzy Door Productions, right? Kind of
Yes.
this two-word thing, and somebody literally was going, I'm just looking down at my messy desk, and we went, and it turns out it fits us really, really well because I mean, research has
Nice.
shown that messy deskers have the same number of ideas as clean deskers, but their ideas tend to be more creative and interesting, right?
Hmm.
So, which we think fits us to a T. So
Very
it just caught
cool.
on and it stuck.
Nice. So will the desk be cleaned eventually?
Well, there's a critical mass. I think at which point it has to be at least partially cleaned up.
Yeah, or else the desk is gonna fall apart. Go,
Yeah, we'll stop short of collapsing it.
I get you. I get you. Alrighty. So is there any future projects for the company by any chance? I mean, we know you're doing the Orville one, but is there any other future projects on the works for you guys?
There are. We're working on our first commercial project, which is called Starship Simulator. So
Ooh.
this is a similar theme, right? Being able to live and work on a working starship, right? But this one is our own wholly original IP. It's our own original design. It's humanity's first deep space mission with faster than light travel, and it's really designed to give you a chance to experience the different roles within a ship, in a working ship. So there's plans to allow the player to be everything from the captain to the cook,
Oh,
and have something to do every day to keep your crew going and your mission moving forward. Yeah, that's something that we're working on right now. We've got all kinds of information on it at the Messy Desk website, messy-desk.co.uk, if I can plug it.
sure.
Our social media channels, we got some videos up on YouTube for Starship Simulator, and a ton of information on our Discord. So we're really excited about that one.
Very
In
cool.
development right now, and we're hoping it won't be too long and we can start getting in front of people.
Very cool. So, have you yourself met any of the cast or the crew by any chance?
I have not met anybody in person. No, we've exchanged a few messages with them on social media. They've
Mm-hmm.
been really, really gracious about sharing information about our project to their followers, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Makes us feel appreciated. So we're grateful for their feedback and their encouragement and them spreading the word about us. It's our goal is to help build the fandom,
Yes.
and I think they acknowledge that, they recognize that in us, and it's a good relationship.
Oh yeah, you can tell there is.
Symbiosis, I guess.
You can tell there is for sure. So, how
Yeah.
does it feel knowing that there's so many of us, including the cast and the crew, that are supporting this project? How does that feel for you in your own? I mean, obviously for me, it'd be really exciting, but how would it be for you to know that there's so many people that Seth MacFarlane has said, "Hey, check these people out; they're amazing." Tom Constantino saying, "Hey, check them out," and everything. How does that feel knowing that there's so many of us out there supporting you guys?
Yeah, it is. We're all blown away by the support that we've gotten. I mean, Tom has tweeted our stuff a lot, and we're
Yes.
super grateful for that. Um, the cast and the crew, we've heard from several members of the crew too on social media. It's awesome, and knowing the fan base and seeing the excitement of everybody when we put something out is fantastic. But I gotta admit, it's also really daunting because now we've got to live up to that, right? We got to justify their faith in us. Um,
Right.
we have to stay faithful to the IP. We have to bring our A game and always bring the best quality that we can. And continually drive that playability for the fans to keep them coming back and get them to stay interested. And it drives our timelines and things too. So it's really cool and it feels really good, but it's also a little daunting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that because you have a lot to measure up to because let's face it, the Orville is such a powerful name. You don't want people to think low of it and everything. So I can understand that. So it could be daunting for sure because you get a lot on
Yeah.
your shoulder. I know I was telling my friend she said she didn't realize that there was an Orville game, and she was saying, "Well, how much is that?" I said, "It's free," and she was like surprised. I said, "Look, these people are amazing. They come up with amazing content. It's obviously fan based. They created something that's obviously fan based, but you can tell it's a project of love."
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, it's a passion project for us, and you know, we're happy that we're able to get it in front of people without a big hurdle, right? We don't. It's being free has its advantages. It also means that
Hmm.
if anybody gets really grumpy, we can just offer them a refund. So that's kind of good. Um, but no, we love what we're doing. We love the show. We're excited for season 3 and can't wait to see um, can't wait to see how much we have to redo once they show us, you know, what's next for what they build out on the ship and whatnot. But that's okay. It's all part of the process. It's an
Hmm.
evolution and not a destination. I guess it's a
Very
journey.
cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. This has been a wonderful interview. This was so much fun to learn so much about the Orville game because I know I myself play it, and then to see the people that make it are actual real people, but to know that they're fans of something that I love too. So it's great to see gaming, which I love, and then the Orville come together as like one great happy family. So thank you, Kevin.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Alicia wrapping up that interview that I was able to do with Kevin. So, thank you so much, Kevin, for coming out from Messy Desk to do this fun interview. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about how these people make this game, to know it's all fan based, to know that it's a labor of love, that even though they don't have direct ties to the cast and crew of the Orville, that we all should be supporting each other. So as we're supporting Seth MacFarlane, Tom Constantino, and the other cast and crew members, we should also support Kevin and his team at the same time because we're all one big Orville family. I know it sounds cheesy and cliche, but let's do so because let's face it, the Orville is our home and let's support as many of us as we can. So thank you, Kevin, for coming out, giving me this overview of what's going on and some teasers about things to come. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is Alicia, or AVP, signing off, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.